All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Protestant Libertarian Podcast. As I said 3 episodes ago at this point, I was going to take most of the month of July off from podcasting, and even a couple of the podcasts that are released in June, I recorded well before the month of June. I wanted to take a little bit of time off to finish this book that I've been working on, and I was successful in doing that, and I was able to convince a couple of my friends whose podcast I've been on to allow me to release those conversations on my show to give myself a little bit of a break, but also to expose you to conversations that you probably haven't heard before. So the first 2 weeks of July, I gave you a 2-part interview I did with Kevin Burr on Faith in the Folds about Christian libertarianism. And last week, I did an interview, or I re-released an interview that I had with Blair Lee on the Bible Worthy podcast about Romans 13. I hope you guys all listen to that. And honestly, I hope that I got some emails about that one as well. I usually do whenever I talk about Romans 13. So that would be great. As you can see, this is going to be the fourth and final week where, at least in July, I release an episode from somebody else's podcast. I'm not, if you're watching on YouTube, wearing the same thing that I was before. Actually, I am. This is what was on underneath my hoodie. And before you make fun of me for wearing a purple shirt, this is what I got from doing Girls on the Run, and that's great. You know, helping kids learn how to run and all that stuff. It's very good. So anyways, what this episode is going to be is I'm back on Faith in the Folds for this one. This one I think came out earlier this year or maybe late last year. I can't really remember, but I'm kind of over the Christian nationalism thing because I think it's played out, and I think that, like libertarianism, it's never going to be a major force in American politics. I might eat my words. I don't know. I'm sure there are some people that will hear that and say, well, it already is, but I don't know. But anyways, I'm kind of over Christian nationalism because we just did so much work on that in 2023, and I'm kind of settled on the issue. But one of the things that I am very passionate about is the realization that structurally progressive Christianity in the United States is identical to Christian nationalism. If you look at Stephen Wolf's definition of Christian nationalism and a case for Christian nationalism, then you will see that it has something to do with having laws and customs that are shaped by theological beliefs that orient people towards the common good. That's what Christian nationalism is. And progressive Christians, even though they have a very different set of policies than the Christian nationalists, they're left wing while the Christian nationalists are right wing. Structurally, it's identical. They have their progressive Christian values, and they believe that the national government should impose those values on other people using force for the common good. Like, it's literally exactly the same. And all that they're arguing about is the difference between which policies should be imposed upon society from the top. That is very hard for progressive Christians to underhear, or it's very hard for progressive Christians to hear, but that is the truth, and it needs to be told. So Kevin and I have been talking about this a little bit, and I wrote an article a while back, and I'll try to remember to put a link in the description for LCI. That article was called Progressive Christian Nationalism, where I just talked about this phenomenon of progressive Christians that are just like left-wing versions of Christian nationalists. And Kevin happened to want to have a discussion about this on his show, and so I went on and did, and it was an awesome conversation. So I'm going to release this one to you guys today. I really hope that you enjoy it. Like with all of Kevin's other episodes, I'm going to try this again on the camera. I'm going to point up to the left corner of my screen. Hopefully by the time you see me pointing up, you will see a link to the video of Kevin's Faith in the Fold channel. Go over there and subscribe, and then also watch the video of this interview right there where I'm pointing my finger. Again, I don't have the video files. Not even, Kevin's got a lot more subscribers on YouTube than me, so I want to throw him as many of my followers as possible. I'll say it one more time. If you like my podcast, you're going to love Faith in the Folds. Kevin's an actual biblical scholar instead of someone like me who just has a degree in biblical studies and does this for fun. So he really knows what he's talking about. So please go follow his show. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that we can all come to realize and appreciate. I think that if you listen to the show, you probably already know, but I want everyone to come to the realization that the progressive Christians and the Christian nationalists are just one side of the same exact coin. That's all that they are. They're the same exact thing. And I will argue that for the rest of my life. And it's pretty obvious once you step outside of the specific policies that they endorse and look at the reasons why they endorse policies and how they want those policies to be endorsed by the government. Same thing. So anyways, for the next 45 minutes, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Kevin Burr. And And unless I get so immersed in this book that I have to go scrounging around for more additional content, I should be back with some original work next week. I don't know if that's going to be true or not, but I'm going to try. Or maybe the book will be going so well that I won't try, and whatever you have next week will still be great. I don't know. You'll find out when I do. So tune in next week. I appreciate you guys supporting me through all of this. I love every single one of you, and I will talk to you all soon. I will see you next